What is happening? Welcome to another picture. Ugh, I can't do things live. Oh my gosh. What is happening? Welcome to the Plus Pitch Podcast, your more pitching podcast from pitcherlist.com. My name is Nick Pollock, and today is April 13th. Happy birthday to my father. And yes, we are going to talk about baseball. There was a lot of interesting stuff going on yesterday. We have a couple pitchers who have new things that you might want to stay tuned later on to say, like, hey, look, this actually might be the start of something new. But the most important one is Luis L. Ortiz. This is a guy with the Pirates last year who had some moments maybe with his cutter coming in. He finally was able to get some control, but not really the best command. And he had some intrigue, but it wasn't really showcasing a top of the line starter. But we saw finally something click a little bit for Luis L. Ortiz against the Pirates yesterday. He got a gallows pull, which means he had the most whiffs of the night, 17, but it was 5.2 innings, 1 earned run, 1 hit, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts, 100 pitches. Obviously not the most efficient because he didn't get through a full 6 innings, but there's something here. And what is that? Well, Luis Ortiz has always thrown hard. He was throwing like 95, 96 here. In the past, he's actually sat like 97, 98. He pulled it back a little bit, hopefully for more control, not necessarily the best command, but he throws more strikes than he used to. But really, the element here is that he has a very flat attack angle. That means a low arm angle that allows the ball to succeed when it's thrown upstairs. Luis L. Ortiz, not someone who's very good at high location, or otherwise known as high lock. When you have a very flat fastball, you want to be like Joe Ryan. You want to have a high lock above 55%, maybe 60 to 70%. Bailey Ober was at 70% in his peak of this. And what we've normally seen from Luis L. Ortiz is like 40%, 45%. Really not a guy that leans into it. However, this start with 10 strikeouts from Luis L. Ortiz, we saw 60% plus high location on that four-seamer. And then it had 8 over 37 whiffs. Okay, there we go. This makes sense. The other element, of course, is having other pitches that you can throw underneath it, which he did. He has a slider. He's got the cutter. Sometimes has some rare sinkers, whatever. As long as that four-seamer actually stays up in the zone, things will be great for Luis L. Ortiz. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sorry. He is not a guy that in the past has showcased the ability to replicate location with his pitches. That said, he gets a great matchup next, and I think you go with it. I think you do it. I think you go with the Pirates next. Sorry, I said he faced the Pirates before he faced Kansas City yesterday, and he gets the Pirates next. Might as well take a spec out on this, hope that it sticks around, and don't really care so much about the results. See if the actual process, what he's doing, his intent is still going high four-seamers. Because if it is, then I actually do think this is going to be real through the year. However, it's 1 star, guys. I cannot say that it is going to be real as of right now. We also had a very weird start from Ben Brown. I've said a lot about how I do not trust this. And what do you know? It was 2 pitches again, 2/3 four-seamers, a third curveballs. That's it. And what? Against the Dodgers, 6 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 hits, 0 walks, and 5 strikeouts. That is just... No, you're not supposed to do this, throwing four-seamers down the middle of the plate 2/3 of the time. I don't know. It's weird. Yes, you did have a high 75% strike rate on the curve. That is nice, but you got away with so much, Ben Brown. I don't trust this in the slightest. Jackson Jobe in 6 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts against the Twins. He got himself a win. This is very interesting because Jackson Jobe is just trying to figure out how to be a successful pitcher. And I think about this a lot with guys coming up, but we say, hey, this guy's great stuff. He's going to be really successful when he's here, etc. And Jackson Jobe just hasn't put it all together yet. But what I have seen from other guys is that they are super volatile and they throw pitches out of the zone. They just try and rely on their stuff and they don't really care where it goes. While Jackson Jobe is to me focusing on just throwing strikes as much as he can. Not necessarily the best pitches to get strikes, not necessarily the best precision inside of the zone, but he's throwing strikes. And 6 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, 2 Ks, like that's fine. As a guy going through development and as someone that we expect to be better in July than we do in April, Jackson Jobe is kind of helping us out right now. Thank you. You are more of an investment for our teams, not a win now player for our teams. And so what is he doing? He's throwing cutters in the zone. He's pulled back on four-seamers to throw them about 30% of the time or so, which I actually think is the right call. because guys have been fastball hunting and been able to spin on everything else. They don't really want to swing at the cutter. They don't want to swing at the curveball. But if you only throw 30% fastballs, you kind of have to. So they started to swing at the cutter. They can't hit it because it's a hard pitch to hit in the zone. Even if it's thrown down the middle, it's still hard to hit. And that curve, yeah, it's not really thrown too much. The changeup is only 5 or 13 strikes, which is a little unfortunate. But I think that Job over time will start to figure out, okay, cool. Instead of doing donut command, which is down the middle or well off the plate, I can just kind of spot this cutter a little bit better. I can utilize the four seamer over here. I can actually throw this curveball for a strike. I think it gets better. That said, this was a little bit of blame it on the Twins. Absolutely. I think we just keep rolling with this. It's nice that he has a better floor in the meantime as he figures things out. Kyle Hart went against the Rockies. Blame it on the Rockies. It was Rocky Road. He's throwing 89, 90 mile per hour fastballs. He does not have a good changeup. This was just sweepers into the zone, kind of almost dancing with a disco, and it worked. I don't want to go with it, especially against the Astros. Speaking of the Astros, Tyler Anderson went against them, got the win, 5.2 innings of 0 earned runs, 1 hit, 4 walks, and 6 Ks, showing that if you have a really good changeup, Kyle Hart, you can take down a right-handed heavy lineup like the Astros as a lefty. Right now, the cutter was 8 for 18 strikes, and that's why you had 4 walks in there. And the changeup wasn't even this very consistent down pitch, but it was good enough, and it's always the best pitch for Tyler Anderson. He's a decent Toby, Tyler Anderson. That's the state of the matter. Drew Rasmussen went 5 innings, 0 runs, 4 hits, 1 walk, and 7 Ks. I know you want 6 innings, but let's be honest, guys, it's great right now. Even at 5, he's a really good pitcher. He's going to get better at this too. His secondaries are really not there. It's just fastball, four-seamer, sinker, and cutter at the moment. And all of those are really like fastball pitches. And then you have the curve and the sweeper, which barely are touched, and only 11 breakers in total. And to see 7 strikeouts without those being those put-away pitches, it's kind of interesting. I wonder how it evolves over time for him. But yeah, he's getting all of the early work in of saying, hey, cool, we're limiting you early. It's going to be 6 innings by mid-May at the latest, really. So be happy that you drafted Drew Rasmussen. Richard Fitz, oh man, 5 innings, 0 runs, 2 hits, 1 walk, 5 Ks against the White Sox. Sure, blame it on the White Sox, 76 pitches. He went on the IL after because he had right shoulder pain. Oh man. And I will say, let's say he wasn't hurt. Richard Fitz isn't really impressing me. This was better command of the sliders and sweepers down away to right-handers, but the four-seamer isn't this massive foundation of a pitch that we thought it would be after seeing the data in spring, the limited data, I should say. And it could be an explanation. You know, we saw a really good first outing in the spring for Fitz. We haven't really seen it back, and it could be that the shoulder was hurting and impeded him, and he was just throwing too hard with it. His body wasn't ready, and that's that. Regardless, I wouldn't be surprised if Fitz is out for a while. Think about it now with the Red Sox. You have Giolito, you have Bayo, and you have Crawford kind of in the wing, ready to go. You might see Giolito get pushed up and start early now. It's possible, or maybe they go with Criswell. They just traded away Priester too, but the way I see it is that the Red Sox were already going to have a logjam here in the IL spot, with their rotation, and Fitz with his shoulder thing and pain in it. It does scare me that it's going to be a while. You don't need to hold on to Richard Fitz. He was looking like a Toby. It's an IL spot that is going to get replaced by your team, I'm sure, at some point. Like if you have 3 IL spots, which is the standard, you're going to have more than 3 injured players, and Fitz is the easy drop. Don't hold on too tightly. Chad Patrick went for the Brewers against the Diamondbacks in Arizona, 4.1 innings, and you don't really care. He doesn't really have anything of interest. I know it's 0 runs. Yay. Don't do it. Brian Wu against Texas. Honestly, nothing new. His four-seamer was amazing. His sinkers got outs, and nothing else is really standing out in the secondaries. And I wish there were more. 7 innings, 1 earned run, 7 base runners, 7 Ks. It's awesome. I just want there to be something else. Otherwise, we're saying, hey, look, this is the next Zach Wheeler. And maybe it is. Maybe he's just Zach Wheeler, and I should just stop worrying about everything else. It's possible. This was also in the T, that is T-Mobile Park, and the opposite of Coors, which is beer or cold beer. You have, hot tea, because as you guys know, at Seattle is lovely for pitchers. It's the opposite of Coors. And so I like doing at TEA. I think it's a lovely little thing. You have Christopher Sanchez at St. Louis. Got the win. Yay, 6.1 innings and 1 earned run. 8 hits and 2 walks and 3 Ks. And here's the problem with Christopher Sanchez, even though there really isn't a problem, but there is a problem because this is 10 base runners and 6.1 innings. That is not a good whip. Whip is the most underrated stat in fantasy baseball, and I'm tired of telling people that, guys, whip matters. He's a hittable guy. especially with the sinker. And this was, oh gosh, the sinkers were just so badly spotted inside the zone to lefties and righties alike. Even changeups weren't really great. And the slider that we saw last time that was so exciting was not very good this time. What I'm trying to get at is Christopher Sanchez, yes, he is better than last year. But if we're expecting that big breakout, you got to throw sinkers better. You can't throw so many hittable ones. Otherwise, the hit rate will be above or at 1 per inning, which is why the whip was 123 last year for Christopher Sanchez. That's just the state of it. And I hope to see better moving forward. Even if it's a higher velocity, it's still clearly hittable. JT Ginn, you're wondering about this guy, huh? Against the Mets, he got the win, 5.1 innings, 100 run, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. He pumped 60% plus sinkers, and he has sliders in the middle, and it worked. I mean, he threw them well. He's also throwing them harder, about 2 ticks up from 93 to 95 now. He has also an extra inch of drop on them. He located them pretty well. That can work. That's really cool. When I have seen Ginn fail is when he goes against more lefties than righties, and he tries to incorporate maybe 4-seamers a bit more than he should. Also, with the sinker not being well spotted. This could also be adrenaline for his first start of the season. I don't know how much we should buy into that. So he gets the Brewers next. That's not terrible. It's not the worst stream ever. However, don't think that's going to be exactly the same as this one. You have Andrew Abbott against the Pirates, 5 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks. That's great for his season debut, but he's down 2 ticks to about 91 and change on the fastball. It's not 93. He did add 1.4 inches of vert to get it around 17.6 vert, which is interesting, but it really wasn't that effective. Also has that 91, and that's it. With like extension and attack angle, not good. And you only have 1/24 whiffs on his changeup at 50% strikes. It's also one of those things that, like with Abbott, he's never really been that changeup first guy. It's been more about curveballs. He did face a lot more right-handers than left-handers. Still, it's just strange. Like Andrew Abbott has never been a guy that's simple. Like I understand, like, oh yeah, cool, that curveball's really good, and that 4-seamer's great. It never made sense. Even when he had 12 strikeouts in that rookie summer, it just still was weird. So I'm still weirded out by Andrew Abbott once again. And we'll see if he has 93 instead of 91 with that same vert on the fastball, then maybe we can talk. We have Roki Sasaki, 5 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 3 Ks. It's more of the same. This was actually the best start we've seen because he actually went 5 innings and 1 run. And 22% CSW. Still doesn't have a bridge pitch. Nope. Chris Paddock and Chase DeLander and David Peterson also went. Will Warren. There's a lot to talk about there. We're going to talk about all of those guys and more after this break. Chris Paddock had that really bad game against the White Sox, but since then it's actually not been so bad. 5 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks here against Detroit. Yes, 24% CSW. Yes, he's still struggling with anything outside of 4-seamers and changeups. And yeah, his 4-seamer was it was precise, but it was a little outside of the zone, and they didn't really chase the changeup or the 4-seamer outside of it, right? They only chase the things inside the zone. Well, I guess whiffed at things inside the zone, not really chase them. So it's the Tigers, not really the toughest team out there. I'm still not sold on Paddock because we're not seeing just a 4-seamer force its way and be so dominant while also not seeing that third pitch, right? It's a good fastball. It just, hey, you need to have a really good slider and then everything gets better. It's not going to happen, I don't think, for Chris Paddock. David Peterson against the Athletics didn't have nausea this time, didn't have blurred vision. He also wasn't throwing 90 because the weather wasn't terrible, so it was 92. And yeah, 6 innings, 2 runs, 7 hits, 0 walks, and 5 Ks. Everything's kind of fine here. I don't like the volatility of his secondary stuff start to start. That is, changeup and sliders. Sometimes are really good, sometimes they're not. You don't really know what you're going to get. I see him kind of as a Holly, almost like a low end one. Not as good as Eovaldi or Springs, I guess. So not all sunshine and rainbows for Peterson. But yeah, he's like a better Toby, I guess. I don't know. He's kind of on that border of, do we want to hold on to Peterson? Do we not? I don't know. I think he's fine. I think you just kind of hold on and move on. You have Chase DeLander in San Diego, not Colorado. And the thing about him is he throws 97-98 with a flat attack angle, right? He doesn't have extension. He doesn't have vert. So that means you have to be peppering the top of the zone. You have to be. If you're going middle or down with it, then you're just relying on velocity and actually hurting yourself by throwing down because the flat angle actually helps. It matches the bat plane for hitters, right? So you got to be careful throwing that low. And I just want him to have a 55% plus high location. This was 31%. The previous one was like 47 or so. but that's still not enough. Like, I need to see 55-60% for me to feel like, okay, hold on a second, you got this. There is a cutter underneath that he gets for strikes. That's okay. The curve and change are not good. So I really think that if Dolander is going to be of any value inside of 12 teamers, it's one of two things. One, he has to really label that four seamer as a high lock pitch, right? You need to nail that at the top of the zone. Even in cores, that can work if the cutter goes underneath. But really, that's the one element. But two, I could see this being consistent enough that like you're fine on the road, but it's just I can't really do it unless I see the four seamer upstairs. That's really it. And I'm happy he had this good one. He's also a rookie, which makes the shag rug exist, the low man's floor. Sorry, the young man's floor. Man, I can't say sentences right now, but you get it. Chase the lander, exciting. Fortunate cores. I generally don't want to go for this. Will Warren, though, this is fun. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. This is by far the best game we've seen Will Warren in the bigs. Got a win. I think it's the first one he's had, at least the first one this year. I think he didn't get any last year. So 14 whiffs, 38% CSW is a King Cole. Here's the interesting part. First part of the year, his debut this year, he had a 0.9 height adjusted VA. That's pretty much average. It just means that it's the expected steepness or flatness, right? Regardless of where you throw it. Now, 15.4 IVB there. This start, 1.4 height adjusted VA, which essentially is like 80th to 85th percentile flatness. Okay, which means it will work upstairs, and 17 plus inches of vert. So you got exceptional vert and you got exceptional flatness on this four seamer. He's also at 6.9 feet of extension, which is exceptional extension. None of those are truly elite. Like none of them are like 90th percentile, but that makes for a good four seamer if you can locate it upstairs. I've been considering Will Warren as a sinker slider guy, maybe with a changeup too that actually has shown promise, right? And not as a four seamer focused one. However, if this is real, it might, maybe the vert is because of the weather, maybe it's colder and it does all these things. And maybe this is just an anomaly, but I did see the height adjusted VA go up a little bit last game too. It's possible this is actually something that Will Warren is doing and making himself better. And if that's the case, then I'm in, because a good four seamer, a good sweeper, a good sinker, a good changeup, those are all of the things. You can go a sweeper sinker against right-handers, then you have a legit weapon with your four seamer with the changeup that should be good against right-handers. That works for a winning ball club who desperately needs innings this year in their rotation, especially now that Stroman's on the IL, right? I mean, it's not that Stroman was everything for the Yankees, but it will mean that Warren is going to get more opportunities. He's at 91 pitches. They just are going to roll with him through the year. So I'd grab Will Warren now, start him against the Rays, as he has a decent floor if the four seamer isn't looking the same as it did here. This is exciting. AJ Smith-Shawver, not exciting. Even though he had a good game against the Rays with 7 Ks and 2 runs in 5 innings, he was demoted after. Why? Because Spencer Strider's coming back this week, and it makes sense for AJ Smith-Shawver, the guy who's not at 96, he's at 94 and change, and has a 57% strike rate for said pitch, and doesn't locate it well, and does not have a reliable breaking ball, goes all splitters. That's a long sentence. Yeah, that guy is clearly not polished. That's AJ Smith-Shawver and should not be on your fantasy teams right now. Okay, just move on from him. Martin Perez against the Red Sox. He had 2 good games of good command and did not have it with his cutter here, so he just threw tons of changeups and nearly made through 5 innings. But yeah, you do not want to go with Martin Perez right now. Corbin Burns, 6 innings of 300 runs. Oh, poor quality start. Yes, he got a 1 whip with 4 hits and 2 walks, but 3 Ks too against the Brewers. Corbin Burns is not an ace, and his slider and curve went 3 for 25 whiffs. Eesh. The cutter used to be the CSW darling of like 36% or something, and it's not that. It's under 30% here. It still has that that reduced drop at 12 inches of vert. You want to see like 9, and sorry, Corbin Burns. I can't buy in right now. I hope it will get better. It should get better over time, but yeah, this is not fun. Michael Lorenzen, the guy who's probably most forgotten about in fantasy as a starter, 5.2 innings of 300 runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, 4 Ks. No one is happy, as he had a Philly, did not get the quality start, and nothing is good here. I do wonder over time if Lorenzen is just too blah that the Royals go, you know what, we're just going to try out Noah Cameron. But for now, he's a desperate quality start play. Miles Michaelis threw 30% four seamers, and those are the ones that burned him. But honestly, the slider's still good. He went 5 innings, 300 runs, 5 base runners, 6 Ks against the Phillies. Honestly, that's 1 earned run away from a productive outing. Kind of surprising, right? It's Miles Michaelis with a terrible four-seamer. Just throw those sliders more. All right, cool. Tomoyuki. Oh my God. Yuki. Yuki. It's right in front of me. Tomoyuki Sugano. My gosh, I'm so sorry. 4.2 innings, 300 runs, 8 hits, 2 walks, and 0 strikeouts. How am I supposed to butter my bread with this? I mean, he's supposed to be a command guy who does not have his best command right now. He's kitchen sink stuff, and none of it is great. And we normally see this actually from Asian players coming over from NPB or the KBO. They need a couple months to get used to the cadence of the regular season and really get settled in. So maybe Sugano actually is a good Toby to keep an eye on for the middle of the year, but right now, do not go for Sugano. Ryan Gusto got the start with Spencer Arrighetti on the IL with his thumb injury. And there is a little bit of intrigue. It was 4 innings, 300 runs, 4 hits, 1 walk with 6 strikeouts. How did he get those? Because 18 to 19 inches of vert on his four-seamer. It's at 93, 94. He doesn't have a good attack angle. He doesn't have good extension. It's just really that vert. And he does locate it upstairs, but there's nothing else here. And the Angels are to blame for the 6 strikeouts. I am not going into, I'm not buying in on Ryan Gusto. Kumar Rocker, I got a lot of pushback inside of playback chat when I do my normal morning stream saying that Kumar Rocker should have been a probable start. And I said, no, Kumar Rocker is not that good. And guess what? Even in Seattle, 3.1 innings of 300 runs, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 2 Ks. Why? Because those 5 whiffs on just the stuff is not there. The sinker was 94.8 miles per hour. Okay. Like that's not the 97, 98 that we know from Rocker. He wasn't throwing four seams, he was just throwing these sinkers over the plate. Okay. He only threw 4 sliders. He threw only 4 changeups. He threw 18 curves. All of these slider changeup and curves all had a 50% strike rate. And it's just what? This is not a guy that you get excited about. He has obvious volatility. He's not polished. Don't go for Kumar Rocker. Just don't. Andrew Heaney looks more polished. 6 innings, 400 runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 6 Ks. It was a grand slam. And that was it. And he's commanding decently well with the curve and change. So there's that. But I don't really want to go after Andrew Heaney, but at least it's a higher chance of something productive right now than Kumar Rocker. Sandy Alcantara was very disappointing against the Nationals. He did get you a win. He got a Philly too in 87 pitches. It was 5.2 innings. Oh, so many of those yesterday. But 4 earned runs. So then again, it wouldn't have been a quality start. But 5 hits, 4 walks, and 1 strikeout. How am I supposed to butter my bread with this? Remember that Alcantara has been off for about 10 days. Paternity leave and also mourning the tragedy in DR with the club collapsing. A lot of things going on in his mind right now. He's been off for a bit. He was at 97. He hit 99. The worry we had about 96 mile per hour velocity last time, a little bit removed from that. I'd say just forget about this and we move on. Bowden Francis, the guy that I've said, you know what, maybe it actually just works and I'm being stupid. What do you know? 5.2 innings of 5 earned runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 5 Ks. Now he cruised through 4, allowed a 2-run shot in the 5th, and then the 6th got 2 outs, was right there to get the quality start and be done with the night. And then what happens? Oh, I don't know. Just like a solo shot and then a walk and then an infield single and then he had a wild pitch in there and then a double. And like, it's just one of those where he just could not get that final out, you know? And so fine. We keep going with Bowden Francis as he gets the Mariners next. But you know me, it's 4-seamer splitter and the 4-seamer just isn't that great. And like there's the 4-seamer is working. I just don't think it should be as productive as it has been. And there's no bridge pitch. The curveball is not good enough as a number 3. Trevor Williams, never Trevor. So there's that. He went 600 runs against the Marlins as if you need another reason. And then you have Jordan Hicks. And this one's interesting because a lot of people are now rage quitting Jordan Hicks, even though it was in Yankee Stadium where the weather was atrocious. Props to you, Will Warren. And 4 innings of 700 runs, 8 hits, 3 walks, and 3 Ks. He was still pumping 98, 99 at times. Yes, he did settle at 96, but really the splitter and the sweeper were not good strike pitches because it was really hard to control and command overall. So I'm not worried about this. I'm holding, yes, even against the Phillies. And I think that Jordan Hicks is still a very good pitcher that you should have in your 12 teamers. All right, that is it for today. I'm excited about Joe Boyle today, by the way. Oh, man, I'm so curious what that is all about. Maybe Littell's out of the rotation? I don't know. Maybe they just need an extra day of rest for the rotation. We'll see. Can't wait to see what we get. But that is it for today. Sorry about no podcast yesterday. It's my sincere apologies. It's just been a very busy weekend. But that is it. So my name is Nick Pollock. May your BABIPs be low and your strikeouts high.